Okay, so I guess fifth time's the fucking charm here, people. I have had issues recording this. So, anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over some of the tools I'll be using in the next video. And the next video is going to primarily be a time lapse to show you what can be done with the tools that I prefer over others. Um, Now, I'm going to go over a few things here real quick, like primarily airbrush stuff. Since that is the primary tool I use, I usually apply a slight jitter to it, and it gives it a little bit more of an unpredictable pattern. That way, you don't end up with this weird pseudo pattern that people can really easily see. Um, I usually stick with the fuzzy circle brush, but occasionally I'll go down here to the Galaxy Small AP or Galaxy AP. Um, Occasionally I'll use the confetti one, but that's really, really occasionally. Um, I'll keep the scale at 1 for now. I'm going to apply a slight jitter. I'm not too worried about the rate and pressure right now because of the tool I'm using. And what I need to do is I tend to try to use colors that are already on the armor itself to alter it. So I'm going to hold Control and then click where a color I like is at. And then I can go up here. Whoop, I have the wrong type selected. That's one thing you gotta make sure of. I've got color erase selected. You need to have grain merge selected when you do things like this, at least starting out. And what you see is you can see the difference that occurs here pretty much immediately. But because the jitter is applied, it doesn't have a set uniform I show up in this pattern kind of situation. So there you can see the big difference between the two halves of this section here. You can do the same thing down here if you want, whatever. Now, you can also use grain extract. This one is a bit tricky. You don't want to have jitter applied when you do this. But this one will actually draw out, you see that right there? It'll draw out whatever color your foreground brush is. So currently it's this color, so it's drawing out a lot of color there. You can do the same up here. Note, it doesn't draw out quite as much color up here because there's a lot more black. I tend not to use grain extract though. What I tend to do is I use dodge, and I will dodge a color to lighten it up some, and you don't lose as much detail like that. It's also much more subtle, and so you have more more margin for error when you do it like this. You can also use burn and burn a color, a specific color. You can see that what's going on right there. And no, it doesn't really have a huge effect on the lighter areas, only areas that have a lot of that color that your foreground brush is. So another one that I will occasionally use, what you don't want to use is you don't want to use the difference, addition, subtract ones, because you will lose a whole bunch of detail as you do it. You could alter the saturation of a specific area by choosing the saturation tool, and it doesn't have a huge effect. It does have a subtle effect though that you could see the more you go over an area, like right there. That red is lightened up a bit. It's not such a harsh red. So those are pretty much those tools. I also tend to use like depth merge is pretty straightforward. I oops. Oh, I know. Don't worry about that if that happens while you're using GIMP. And just hit OK and keep going. Now, if you have a second version of the same file open, or another version of a different file open, you can click into this drop-down menu here, and all your open files will appear. And what you need to do is remember this number up here, outfit m.dds-1. And that's right there. Others that you open, like if you open the same file, it'll have a -2, -3, something like that. And so you can place one file here and another file here in these two, or whatever combination thereof, and alter these sliders to get a slightly different look. But you remember that can occasionally, like let's say you lose detail because something you did, but you don't want to undo everything you just did. You can use depth merge to bring out some of the detail again. So those are a lot of the tools I'll be using in this. Filters, for the most part, I will not be using for this one. Once I start getting to the point where I'm showing you how to make globe apps and actually put those in the game, then I'll start using filters more. I'll also be at that point using paths and show you how to stroke them over here so that they actually paint a certain design. But yeah, that is pretty much it. The next video is going to take a while to build up and edit in. So anyway, you guys take it easy.